you know, part of newsworthiness in these discussions that we have in Newsroom is what deserves to be up top, what deserves the resources, and sometimes novelty is part of that. We have a snowstorm outside right now on the East Coast, and that led before the wildfires, despite there weren't many deaths with this storm that we've had so far. Do you think that exposes an East Coast bias just because, you know, maybe a fire isn't in our backyard?
And that's exactly what again, that's that familiarity component. And so when something is visible to you and it's in front of you and you may have experienced it or know somebody through your circles that have experienced it, that will be something that you would see more coverage regionally over it for that reason. There is that innate interest there. And then with the wildfires, it's actually exactly the same. If it's in your backyard, then you're gonna see that local regional interest, but it's not gonna necessarily be nationally consumed in the same way as what is considered more novel.
When you talk about something that is so broad and impersonal, it's a little more difficult to get people to lock in with it.
Yes, I mean, that's exactly right. And that's another phenomenon which this field really tries to explain through evidence and through robust studies that have shown exactly that. When you focus in on one person, one story, one family, it becomes something that you can relate to and almost picture yourself going through. The second you make it about an additional family, it's a unique phenomenon that has been shown in the field of risk perception studies, is that people begin to numb to more numbers and more stories.
I wonder what is the psychology behind not being able to sustain an interest in what's happening. I don't know if it's because it's not an imminent threat, if it's because it's not a personal threat, seemingly so. What is it?
It's exactly that. It's because it's so big and it's because it's so complex and because it's all interconnected, the brain can only take on so much. And it's a failure in communication from scientists in a way that know the reality of the risks that are coming upon us and are not able to communicate it in a way that we know is going to be manageable and people will understand the information, the risk information as needs to be understood. And that lack of communication in line with how we know people process information is most likely the reason behind why you're seeing kind of just this turnoff, and rather stick your head in the sand because it's easier to think short term and what I need to worry about today and this week than thinking about all of these very complex problems in the future.
I'll look at some headlines.